Enuma Elish, Tablet 7. Aser, giver of farmland, and he who defines its limits, inventor of cereals and flaxseed, who brings plant growth. Asar Alim, whose sage words of advice are well regarded within the halls of Congress, esteemed above all others among the gods, even the fearless ones give heed to him. Asar Alim Nuna, who is much honored and praised, who is the shining light of his forebears, his progenitors, who manages the decrees of Anu, Enlil, Ea, and Damkina. Yes, it is he who sustains them and gives them livelihood. His own farm provides enough to bring surplus to the land. He is known as Tutu, having brought their restoration, and he will cleanse their temples that they need not work, and he will create a spell so that the gods will live in peace. If any of them should become enraged, he will quell him. He will be utmost at the congress of his forebears, the gods, and there will emerge no god who could surmount him. He, as Tutu, is also Zeukina, who enlightens his people, who set firmly into place the flawless heaven for the gods, who determined their manner and established their order. Let him not ever be forsaken by the multitude of humanity, so that they may always recall all of his accomplishments. Tutu is thirdly known as Ziku, who insists upon cleanliness, god of sweet scents, and lord of adherence and agreement, giver of wealth and plenty, who produces beyond his needs. He who can transform short supply into great abundance. When beset by the worst calamity, we smell his sweetness. Let them speak utterances of praise and glorify him in song. Fourth, may humankind worship Tutu by the name Agaku, he being lord of the immaculate spell, bringing resurrection. He is compassionate even to the gods who are captives of war. He relieved the burden placed upon the gods, even his rivals. He who made humankind to release them from their labors, being filled with blessings, and one who can bring even life. He will speak words as durable as stone that will not be lost. When the body of people speak, he who made with his hands, fifth, they will refer to Tutu as Tuku of flawless incantations, eradicating all the malevolent through his immaculate spell. Call him Shazu, fully aware of the god's plans and feelings. He will not permit the workers of evil to flee from his clutches. Founder of the divine council, who fulfills what pleases them, bringing the haughty to their knees under his broad shelter, overseer of justice, and who recognizes deception in speech, and from where he plainly differentiates a lie from the truth. Let them also praise Shazu as Zisi, who stifles the aggressive, who banishes doom from the bodies of his forebears, the gods. Third, Shazu is Surim, who eradicates all enemies in war, bringing an end to their plans, banishing them far and wide, bringing an end to all who are evil, no matter where they are, that the gathered gods may forever remember his victories. Fourth, he as Shazu should too be known as Shugurim, having charge of the compliance of his forebears, the gods, who eradicates the enemy and obliterates their descendants, who ended their designs so that nothing remained of them. May his name be praised and declared throughout the land. Fifth, let the descendants of man know Shazu as Zahirim, who brings every enemy given to his haughtiness to an end, and all the gods who have been driven out to their temples, so that it might be instituted that he might be known by this name. Sixth, have them all likewise worship Shazu as Zargurim, who brought an end to every enemy by his fortitude in war. Call him Enbelulu, the master and the bringer of wealth. They have a potent god who rules the portents of sacrifice, who guards pastures, lakes, and springs for the land's sake, who releases springs and gives out water in plentiful supply. Second, they ought to know Enbelulu likewise as Ipadon, as the master of the land and farming, bringer of furrows, who manages the canals which are in both heaven and earth, who sustains the unsullied farmland throughout the country, who makes the trenches and canals flow and makes furrows. Third, to praise Enbelulu as Gugal, of irrigation of the gods, and Lord of plenitude and the abundances of heaping grain, who brings about wealth, who distributes his excess to others, as the provider of grains and as the cultivator of cereal crops. Fourth, that he as Enbelulu is also known by them as Higal, as he who gathers into piles the spare supply for the people, who is the provider of plentiful rains across the wide earth, and who brings about the burgeoning of all vegetative life. He is called Sirsir, who heaped the mountains atop Tiamat, who captured among the spoils of war the cadaver of Tiamat. He is ruler of the land, and is likewise their good shepherd, who has given freely agriculture, garden land, and plough land, who struck out into the wide sea of Tiamat when provoked, and he was spread over the entire field of battle like a bridge. Second, that Sisir is known as Malah, and let her, Tiamat, act as his barge from henceforth, and let him be her boatman. He is called Gil, who collects great piles and masses of grains, bringing forth grain in herds, supplier of the land's fertility. He is called Gilama, for the divine force binding the cosmos. He brought order, the encircling band, which brings goodness. He is called Hi-Aglima, who banished the flood and frost, made the land sit upon the waters, and formed soaring peaks. He is called Zulum, who assigned plots of lands for the gods, who divided up what he had made, and bestowed temples, acting as both the giver of livelihood and the supplier of food. He is called Mumu, the maker of both heaven and earth, serving as controller of their forces, instiller of their energies. And Zulum Umu, as God who purges heaven and earth. There are none among the divinities who equal him in might. He is called Gish Numun Ab, the one who made humanity, and who likewise established the four divisions of the earth, who ended Tiamat's divine force and made man exclusively. He is likewise known as the monarch, Lugal Ab Dubur, who dispersed the offspring of Tiamat and took her weapon. He put fortitude in both the rear guard and the vanguard. He is Pagal Guena, chief of lords, of unsurpassed power, being matchless among his kinsmen, the gods, their prince. He is Lugal Durma, the sovereign, and the divine force, and is likewise the lord of the binding force of the cosmos, being second to none in the palace, indisputably supreme. He is Aranina, Ea's advisor, rock of his forebears the gods, who remains unsurpassed in every one of his regal manners. He is Dumu Duku, whose pristine house sits on a holy hill. Judgment would not be without Dumu Duku, Lugal Duku. He is King Lugal Shuana, of unrivaled divine influence, strength of Anu, foremost as the rightful heir of Anshar. He is Iruga, who set forth to draw them from Tiamat's sway, who unifies all wisdom and holds a comprehensive sight. Call him Kingu, since he made Kingu a prisoner of war. He pronounces rulings for all and proclaims imperatives. Call him Kenma, as ruler of all gods and source of wisdom. His uttered name makes gods shudder like an earthquake. Named Sizkur, he has the foremost place at the temple. The gods will arrive, bringing gifts to the place before his feet. For as long as he accepts the dedications they give to him, there are none who could do sorcery without his backing. No other god will determine what is due the entire people, apart from his aid, nor the designation of their lifespans. Call him Gabil, who determines the effectiveness of arms. He who worked wonders in his confrontation with Tiamat, of deepest wisdom and supreme in his comprehensions, so deep it is beyond the grasp of other gods to understand. His name will be Adu. May he forever span the heavens. Let his tremendous voice be heard booming above the earth. Let him discharge the rains which fall freely from the clouds, which are the source of nourishment for humanity beneath. He is Asharu, who, true to his name, rules the gods of fate. Truly, he watches over every living person who lives on earth. Call him Nibiru, who secures the ways of heaven and earth. Neither up nor down will they pass, but only with his consent. His star is Nibiru, which is a dazzling light in the firmament. He secures the passages, thus they must seek his permission, saying, He who incessantly passed within Tiamat without stop will carry the name of Nibiru, for holding fast at her center. Let him be the one who sets the stars of heaven on their way. Let him be the shepherd of the gods, who will be his sheep. May he bring down Tiamat, strangle her and end her days, so until the end of time she remains far from our children. Since he was the one who both made the heavens and earth, call him Inkerker, which his forbearer Enlil called him. Ea heard this name, and he was so known among the Ajiji, and Ea was overcome with happiness and spoke, saying, He who has been given such a fine name by his forebears deserves to be known by the name Ea, being my own name. He will rule over the particulars of every one of my rituals, and will administer any matter which I have proclaimed. Thus with these 50 did the high gods give his 50 names, granting him preeminence. May they always be honored, and might the elder enlighten the younger concerning them. May men of wisdom and instruction talk among themselves, so the father might recall them, and pass them on to his son. And may both the shepherd and the herdsman be amenable, that he not forget the wise counselor of the gods, Marduk, so that his lands will remain productive and himself secure. He speaks words of stone and commands beyond reproach. There are none among the gods who should alter his words. Even when overcome with anger, he does not avert his gaze. But in his greatest ferocity and annoyance, the gods back off. His thinking is profound, and his feelings highly developed. Both criminals and offenders are made to stand before him, and he had a scribe transcribe the unwritten commandments that had been repeated to him by the elderly amongst them. Having this set forth in writing for men to read into the future, might mankind, the people of Marduk, made by the Ajiji gods, invoke the story, utter his name, recalling the song of Marduk, of him who struck down Tiamat and was made king. This is the end of the Enuma Elish. Peace and blessings to you all.